It's been 2 weeks since I tried to make a video. I don't know if that will actually reflect in upload times because I just hate editing. So I'm going to do a funny double feature. I kind of thought this would work out really well. I don't know why. I thought it was going to just be brilliant. I had like in my notes straight up, oh, this is a brilliant double feature. But kind of wasn't. Like I've seen Spy Family and I've seen Three Colors White before. I haven't seen this Spy Family movie. I've seen this show. And I really went to this expect them to have like the same rating, and I really don't know why. I thought it'd have really similar notes, you know. But you can tell, not that similar. Cause like I don't know, maybe small cast, maybe the snow. Snow is in both. It's white after all. Let's start with Spy Family, Code White, or as I'm calling it, anime life and off-screen death, presumably, of Colonel Blimp. It released close to alongside the end of the second season of the anime in Japan back in December of 2023. It then got released in the US in 2024. I believe via Crunchyroll, which is where I watched it in case anyone asks. It is a product of WHITEst and Cloverworks animation studios, which I believe are both well reputed and regarded animation studios. However, the film does not assume you've seen the show. It's hard for me to say for certain if that works super well, because I have watched the show, but I believe it's fully watchable without watching the show. It really tries to get you up to pace quickly. And actually, speaking of, going on a tangent here, stick with me, I actually was in New York City in July and I saw Blue Period, which was a live action anime adaptation. It made me really want to watch the show. And I thought, wow, that's great. And but then it's Netflix locked, so I didn't. But to get to my point, I afterwards followed up with one of the employees there, and they graciously spent a lot of time with me answering questions, and they brought up how these kind of films often exist to promote the series, actually. And they also explained that they kind of measure show success by Blu-ray sales. So presumably this kind of a movie was actually mostly in place to help promote the show as it came to an end that season, right? And as a self-described anime enjoyer, I actually was quite surprised because I did not know that. I know the Spy Family writer had some sort of credits attached to this film, but as far as I can tell from the little bit of research I did, he did not actually participate in writing the film. I'm sure some of the fans might have noticed that. To me, it felt a little bit off, just a little bit different in terms of some of the dynamics, in terms of how some things are approached, in terms of wrapping up a few things here and there. It felt to me just a little bit off or just a little bit different. The overall plot felt kind of standard for just like an anime film. I've seen a fair amount of them at this point, and a lot of them kind of feel like this. I'm sure some of the characters and bits here are nice nods for people that live in Japan or pay attention to voice actors or really are into this. But for me, most of it just really didn't hit. Pretty much every new element in the show, every new character, every bit basically was not a big it's just the stuff that I was already familiar with the characters from the actual show. Those are always great. But the rest of it was just kind of fine. It was serviceable. Not a top-of-the-line introduction thing where I'm like, oh my god, I sure hope this is canon. Oh my gosh, I sure hope they bring this back actually. Which I think I have felt for a few anime films. Like maybe... I also did really appreciate how the film gave nods and made good use of its available characters, which I don't always think show movies do. Or even just the show. Because like Bond, a lesser movie would have left him behind. In fact, the show left him behind. And he's like my favorite part. Bondo! You know, he go Morpho. And he go Morpho. And that's when he's sad. My dog doesn't really bark ever. And she's the best dog, but she doesn't really bark ever. And I wish he was a big dog. And it's like, how Bond's a big dog. I think it's pretty sick. Anyway, the film was mostly pretty good. 3 styles being used here were really wonderful. The main style, of course, then the imagination style, as well as then the creative, I don't know what to call that one. Well, I know what I could call that one. The third style used in the film were all wonderful in terms of visuals. Some great match cuts I really liked, actually. I thought the Fiona Lloyd match cut, for example, was really just a nice match cut. And the movie budget level of animation was just always wonderful to see. I love me some good animation. And speaking of animation, I'd sure like to talk to you about today's sponsor. The animation that plays when you click the subscribe button, the like button, and when you post a comment button. They're actually, you're kind of fine, but, maybe, just moving on. For everything I just said, forget everything I just said. Three Colors White. My Polish king. He points out bird shit, how snow, how cum, how bridal outfits. Oh my god. And even a white statuette, they're all white. Oh my god. And then also other things, presumably. I don't remember off the top of my head. Like, I guess they're like white people or something. I don't know. I felt pretty confident in everything I just said about Spy Family, but when it comes to this film, and really the rest of this whole trilogy, I'm definitely less confident in my analysis and opinions. I would love to like get people's opinions and have discussions, but most of my friends don't really watch real Kino. You know what I mean? So I don't get a chance to discuss this film or Blue really, or Red really, or so many others. So if you have disagreements with what I say here, or have insights into this film, please let me know. I love the Three Colors trilogy, and would just love to know more. I prefer Blue and Red by far, but they're kind of on equal footing to me. But onto the film. This one is ostensibly about égalité, equality, for those of you that aren't French weebs. I know the three of them are liberté, égalité, and fraternité, so liberty, equality, and fraternity. I've also heard that whole framing was just used to get funding for the films, because France, Poland, Switzerland are the settings. Doesn't feel super French. In this film, the old person trying to throw away a bottle is a man, and Karol just watches him and smiles like a piece of shit. And I hate Karol. He's not a good guy. But I also think Dominique's a sick fuck too. The little cameo from Three Colors Blue is fun, but it doesn't really add much. It felt, and I hate to say it, felt a bit MCU. The film kind of works as three short films is how I see it. We have our France section, we have our Poland section, and then we have our Don Karol section, which I recognize is still Poland, but it's like three separate kind of eras. Throughout the whole film, the bridal scene is intercut. I kind of feel like it could be interpreted as either being prior or after, actually, given how she signs to him at the end that they should get back together, or like, we'll get together once I'm out of here. There is the intercutting of Dominique at the hotel, which begins in the Poland section, which is then in the future, and then also in the France section there's the bag being intercut, which also is at that point in the future. So I think the logical implication would be that the wedding where they look joyous is after the film, but I think it being interpretable as either or is actually probably the most fun way of thinking about it, at least for me. The white statuette was clearly of importance, and I'm just like 10,000% sure I do not fully get it. I know it's like France somehow, but I don't really know much. Another wonderful thing that I liked about this film was how it tells time through the Christmas season multiple times. We've got our Poland one, and then we've got a couple years later. I think it's just brilliant. There's definitely a bit of continuity issues or weird shots a couple times, presumably just because of a short shooting schedule and low budget. I watched this film on DVD, and I actually really loved how the translation worked within this one, mostly. I think I had a couple frustrations with the translation, and by that I mean specifically the subtitling. Mostly I loved it. I thought it was so smart. In the courtroom, for example, you only get the English subtitles appearing when the Polish gets said to Karol. So when they're speaking in French, you don't get it, and then it gets translated to Karol, and then you get it. Which I thought, oh my gosh, this is so smart. It's just a very small thing, that little bit of attention to detail thing that really helps set a film apart. And I think that was wonderful. It really gets you into his shoes, it helps you understand. The EU was formed, I think, that same year. So Three Colors Blue talked about the EU, so I think maybe this plays in somehow. And this is one of those films where I like it so much and I want to know so much more about it, where I could really just deep dive into so much here. I'd even learn bridge, because Nikolai he said he plays bridge, right? So I just love this whole trilogy so much. Well, again, I think this is the weakest of those three. On this rewatch, I liked it more than I expected to, actually. I'll try and wrap things up a bit here. Both of this film and Spy White, so we'll call them Spy White and Free White moving forward. Both have snow. Both have a fair amount of white. Neither has cocaine. Both came out in years ending in 93 and 2023, right? They're both foreign films for me, not English. I had to read subtitles for both. I wrote notes for both. I wrote a fair bit beforehand about how I thought this was super smart and like what a brilliant double feature. So maybe this will be a learning moment, but probably not, because I'm kind of thinking pairing Three Colors Red with the 2010 Red, like the Bruce Willis one. So maybe let me know if you don't want me to do that, or if you want me to do that. Final thoughts. Spy Family Code White is a pretty decent anime movie that I think is approachable for those not familiar with the series, and is a pleasant enough add-on to a show if you like it already. Three Colors White is also part of a larger whole, and I think for both of them, the other part of that larger whole is the better part. Another connection. I give Spy White a 3 out of 5, and I give Spy White 3, White 4. Oh man, that's kind of confusing, huh? Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. If you want to, you could let me know if you thought this was more awkward or less awkward than the last one. I'd appreciate that. But then the issue, right, is you can't tell. I'm wearing like white pants too. Like I'm out here in a white dress shirt, a white t-shirt. I'm like, trying to get into it. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice day. And go watch some movies, bro.